Hi, Carol here. A warm welcome once again to my craft room. Today I'm going to use my 140-pound white cardstock and hybrid inks. And I'm going to show you how you can get the look of oil pastels using hybrid inks. And I found this wonderful concept over on Stampscapes when I was watching one of the tutorials over there. And I'm going to leave a link to this actual cased card. Now it's only cased up to a certain point. I wanted to try this using the inks the way that the owner and over at Stampscapes, he does the videos, and I saw Kevin do this and I thought I would give it a try. Now he took a paper towel and he's rubbing the hybrid inks back and forth, and then we're going to land ourselves a really nice scene using the Stampscapes Lakeside Cove large set. And we're also going to use Rubbernecker stamps, which are fabulous, and I'm going to leave the links over there for you at Rubbernecker. So here we go. We're going to start out by just rubbing the colors together with a paper towel, and use your hybrid inks. This is what gives you the look of this pastel styling. And I really like it. And I'm going to leave the colors. I just wanted to get the voiceover done. So I'll go back and put the colors of the inks that I used. I know that the orange is In Your Face orange. And I do know that the yellow is lantern yellow. I may have used the Bali blue, the navy blue I know I used. And I'll list them. But for now, I just wanted you to get the drift on how we're going to put these colors going down the page, the actual cardstock, and then we're going to build this scene around it. So I'm taking out my dollar store, where nothing's a dollar, wonderful brushes, the brushes that I use. And I am going to also use LDRS Creative white ink, but I am going to use the Colorbox ink as well when I'm doing this, because Colorbox is a really bright white, as is the LDRS Creative white. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a base color going down, and then I'm going to put this white so that it gets that foggy look before I start to build around creating the scene. Now we are going to do a two-for card where you get two for the price of one here. You're going to get this imagery, and then we're going to put the actual animals in that on acetate and have it cover this, so that it's, because I want to use alcohol ink, so for that I needed the acetate. So here we go. I have taken out my daubers, which I haven't used forever. I love using these things because you can put them on every finger. You know, you can go crazy. You know, you'd have 8 different colors going at one time. So when I leave this link, I would really encourage you to go over to Stampscapes, and I will leave this particular video that I watched that helped me create this creation. Now, no two cards are the same when you case a card. Obviously, you're going to put your own twist onto it, and that's what I did, adding the acetate and adding my own scene. But basically, I stuck to the same hybrid colors, and what I'm doing is I am making a sky, you know, with the yellow, the green, the orange, and I'm bringing it down, and then I'm going to push the scene in by taking the corners with the dark inks, and I'm going to move them in. Now, it's very easy to manipulate this to get the color out just by moving it with your paper towel, as you can see here. And you don't want it to be totally symmetrical either, because everything in nature isn't perfect. Although it does look perfect, but you don't have to have, you know, a perfectly round sun, a perfectly round sunset. You're going to make it look as realistic as possible. And I'm going to explain my thought process as I am doing this after I watched the Stampscape video. And it is amazing that these stamps are created with dotalism, which is unbelievable. And every one of the sets that I have, they're just gorgeous. They're just gorgeous. That's all I can say. And you will learn so much when you go over there and check out Kevin's YouTube channel and how he creates with his own stamps. I mean, these are his stamps, his creations, which is wonderful. So now I'm going to take the navy and the black, and I'm going to move in with it. Now, I didn't have any LDRS Creative Hybrid Black, the Raven. I've gone through 3 black, 2 small cubes and a large one. I mean, I really have used it right down to being dry. So I had to take out my black ink that I would use, which is the VersaFine Black. And you're going to manipulate now the white ink. You're going to make it look like this fog is coming in. It's not difficult because I'll tell you why. You can go over it again with your hybrid ink and take out the fog, then add the fog. 140-pound cardstock that I have here will take a beating, you know, and it'll keep on ticking because it's a nice thick card base. You can use the brushes, you can use paper towel, you can use the cotton swabs, whatever works for you. Now, I did have to keep going back and brightening it up, and then, because this is the base before I add the Stampscapes stamps, okay? And these are wonderful nature scenes, the most beautiful trees and evergreens and bushes and water and clouds. I mean, it's got it all in this one set that I'm using. And like I said, it's the Lakeside Cove large set. I love it. And I did buy some of these sets in just the flat rubber, where I had to cut it off and just put some double-sided tape on the back and use my positioner. You know, you can do it that way, or you can just use it with your hand and stamp the images. This is 5 by 7.5, I believe. No, it's 5 1/4 by 7.5, the sheet that I have here. And we're going to remember that I'm going to work in the rule of thirds. So I'm going to get the 2/3 portion on the bottom, which will be my water. And then I'm going to get the sunset on the top. So that's why I put the yellow at the top. Well, the reason why I put the yellow at the top is because Kevin put it at the top of his card. Yeah, so I'm just following suit. But I did not watch it while I was creating. I wanted to get my own touch, you know, my own creation in this, but I did get the basics down, and that's what you need. You need this inspiration. And I like the way that you can already see that there is water at the bottom just by brushing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then coming in with your dark tones and pushing it in. And then once you add the scene, you can once again add your colors. There are no limitations to this kind of card creating. And I think you're going to be wonderful. I don't think anybody hasn't heard of Stampscapes. So every time I go and I have time to watch a tutorial, I always end up making a card right after because I get so inspired. It's just beautiful. And to think that the stamps, the pictures are done with dotalism is unbelievably talented. And yes, so anyway, I'm going to take the white and I'm going to brush it across because I want to have the undertone of the water, you know, the white, beautiful tips of the blue and black water going across. Now I haven't stamped anything yet, so I'm just looking at it and getting the image that I want before I start applying. Now here's the stamp set. You can buy them with the full rubber thick back. This one I bought so I could just cut it out. I don't mind working with the thin rubber. It doesn't bother me at all. And especially you can use this on your platform on the side, the photopolymer side, because it's so thin and you get the best of both worlds. So here, this is the background. This is where the water, you've got your evergreen trees, you've got the beautiful rock setting, and it's all coming in exactly like you portrayed the scene to be, all coming towards the center. The same is this application right here with the stamp set. I am going to leave room on the top for my clouds. I'm going to grab a piece of felt and put it over top. And then, yes, I did have to take some ink off my hands. I was getting ink all over the place. I also love how you can mingle and mix up two different companies. You know, this is Rubbernecker. I wanted to use the beautiful smaller evergreen trees, and I wanted to use the little bunny and the moose. The most, I don't know, that set by Rubbernecker is really cute. It's a Christmas set, by the way, but I was able to do the moose so that it was not the female, because the female I think has some bells or something around the neck. But I did use this the male moose. And he's adorable. So there you have it. Look at that. And what's wonderful about Stampscapes is they're made to, oh yes, let me just say, clear embossing powder. Now, you don't have to do this. I don't think over on the video Kevin did use the clear embossing powder, but I wanted it to have this real deep black finish, shiny finish. So I decided I was going to use the clear embossing powder. This is detailed embossing powder. And you'll see that I did get some black ink on the top where the yellow is. No problem, because I am going to use a cloud scene from Stampscapes on the top. And the process of this tutorial was wonderful. I really did have just a great artistic time. You really do feel like, even though they're stamps, that you drew them out or something. I don't know. They're just perfectly placed. And they're made, like I said before, to run a line, like you stamp the one and then the other sets will go off and you can keep adding to it the scene, and it's not going to look like it's cut. That's what I'm trying to say there. And you'll understand it better if you go over and watch the Stampscape tutorial. See how I'm just adding trees? I'm not using a block, acrylic block. I'm not using my stamp positioner. I'm just using my hand and stamping it out, because I don't think on a scene like this, when you have trees, it is going to make a difference whether you use an acrylic block or your stamp press. This works perfect. And I just have a piece of black felt that I'm, helping me along as I press it down into the paper. And this way I can add tall trees, medium trees, small trees, and it all works out because it's made to work in line. Now, this is just a small, look at the size of this stamp. It's just a long rectangle stamp of water. And the stamp we originally stamped on top, it has this water base in the cove of the rocks. And then as you move out towards the front, you have this rippling water. And we're going to make it all come together when we add the acetate and the actual animal seeds. I think you're going to love a style card like this. And I do, like I always encourage, to go over on Stampscapes, and Rubbernecker are coming out with some wonderful stamps as well. Now here's the cloud set. I did decide to put it onto my Tim Holtz platform and use Distress inks to put it down. And you can see I'm not using just one stamp with this cloud set. It's a beautiful cloud set, but I'm going to stamp it where I want those poofy clouds. See what I mean? And I stamped it darker with the black to have it look like the peaks were mountains. The high mountains on the right-hand side, like the upper right. I wanted it to be black to look like a mountainous scene, and then I wanted the clouds to be in the background. And I'm also going to use detailed embossing clear powder. You can see how this northern scene to me takes on such richness when you deepen the black ink with clear embossing powder. I love the way I press down on the clouds, on the peaks of the clouds, to give it that look of mountain terrain in the background while still getting that beautiful setting of puffy clouds. And I'm going to go in with the oxide ink and I'm going to press it down to give it some more richness, because as you know, the oxide ink will stay on top of the clear embossed black that we put on there, the embossing powder. And now I'm taking out the cutesy with, this is that moose. I love this set. I think it's adorable. And you've got all different shapes of evergreen trees that you can situate. And I'm putting it on here because it is going to go on top of acetate. We are going to color it with alcohol ink. And that is going to make these images just pop right off of this design like crazy. And you can see how easy creating this was. It's basically the one scene in the center on the upper third of the, actually it's the lower, let me see, the 2/3 of the water is the water, and then you come up and you have that scene right there of the calm water where the rocks, and then you have the evergreens, small to the back. Then you're going to create that mountainous range with your hand, just pressing on the cloud stamp. Then you're going to add the Stampscapes taller evergreens. And then I picked out there's a beaver. Of course there's a beaver going across the still water there. I mean, can I not be Canadian and have a moose and a beaver on here? Of course not. No. And if you know anything about beavers, they can build their dam and shut the water down so it becomes just as calm as this. If they're building across there, nothing's getting through. You have to break it up because their homes are really tight and well weaved together. So it kind of gives that illusion when you see this beaver going across the calm water here. And you're basically building two scenes, right? You're building the background scene for your acetate scene that you're going to color with the alcohol markers. Absolutely stunning. You're getting to use the oxide inks on top of your hybrid inks, and you get this. I don't know, I just fell in love with this card as I was building it. And you can see the tips of the water. I kind of felt like Bob Ross. I don't know, I did. Yeah. Just, you know how quickly Mr. Ross would just make a scene, and then when you picture, your chin up off the ground because you couldn't believe he could do it so quickly, that's exactly how the Stampscape background is. All of a sudden, you've stamped a few stamps and you've got this luxurious Canadian northern scene. Beautiful. Beautiful. That's all I can say. I loved every minute of creating it. Now, this is the 29-pound vellum. Usually, the Stampin' Up! Has the 40-pound vellum. You'd never see through that. And then it has this 29-pound I got at Michael's, but you can't see through that either. And that's where I got the idea of going straight to the acetate and coloring with your alcohol ink. You're getting to use your stash products here, which is wonderful. Now, the white card base, I'm going to put a gusset because I always do. Just one extra line going across. Because I don't know what I'm going to put on the inside, I want to give my card a little bit of lift, some room in case I add dimension in there. And It's just what I always do. I always like to add a gusset and give my cards just a little lift on the inside. But you will be surprised when you see the end how I created the inside. I think you'd be shocked actually. So here we go. I'm going to add black over top of the white, and then I have this shiny silver right here that's going to go behind my image to kind of pop it off the page. So you have white, black, the silver, and then the actual creation on the 5.5 by, or 5.25 by 7.5, I think it was. I don't have the card right here to measure, but I can leave those measurements at the end if I think about it there. And let's just see here where we're going with this. Once we get this done, I have to measure up the front so that the acetate just fits over the actual card we created with the Stampscapes. So here comes the acetate. This is my it's my Thinky Thick acetate, the one that is page protectors I get at my stationery store. I'm going to fold it and also put a one-line gusset in there. I'm going to take my Copic dark gray and go around the edges here of the card so you don't see the white when I go to pull it together. And I just want you to see the white tips, the beautiful, this I think is the prettiest cloud that looks real to me in Stampscapes. This one cloud stamp amazes me. And I'd say it again, it's dawdleism. It's created using dawdleism, and I think that is wonderful. And just press on your stamp. You could probably do this with your evergreen to make those mountains look mountainous, you know. But I could see the edges on the cloud stamp, so I just pushed down my hand on top of a piece of felt and made it look like I had some mountains going across the back. And that's how I got that look. And the lighter you want your water in the forefront, the more white you can add, just going across using your ink to paper and dragging it. Looks really nice. So here we go. I'll put the scene on, and then I'll take it over to the page that we just created to see if I've got the placement right, because I am going to put different colored greens behind the trees, which I need, you know, the actual scene we built is black, right? You do have the wonderful rainbow of colors going down, but you'll see what I mean when I get done here. Here is that cute little moose. The Rubbernecker Stamps has this little mound of rocks. So I put a few mounds down on the bottom, put a little bunny beside the moose. Cute, cute. And I did one rock higher than the other just to give it a little bit of dimension. And yeah, so I'll just keep going over and seeing how well this sits with the scene I have. You don't want, you know, you want to get it down where we created that black coming in on the water. Really did make it look like a little bit of rock going across there. So it looked pretty good. I hid that little rabbit between these two little evergreens. And then I'm going to stamp my beaver going across the calmness of the water. And cute, cute. Once we put the fold in the acetate, give it a one line, you know, when you can see that I did the gusset going across so it would lift up and it wasn't pulling, so it would always, you know, the acetate would be lifting off of the 140-pound cardstock there. You want to put an extra line and then put some double-sided tape. We'll put it down later. And this is it. This is the top scene that we're going to create. This evergreen is going to look like on the bottom right that it is a bunch of bushes. Now, I could have put some bushes there, I'm sure, out of some Stampscape sets that I have. But instead of getting it out, I thought this was kind of nice. And if you're not satisfied with the way you created on your acetate, just have a little bit of alcohol I get those little alcohol wipes and I rip one open and then I take it off. I take off whatever is too dark, too filled up. And see, there's the stamp with the clouds on that piece of paper. There it is there. I put it on the acetate, but I didn't like it on the acetate. I see how it's so, oh, that's the most beautiful stamp ever, clouds, isn't it? And I started to take some away from the outside edges, and then I thought, no, that is going to take away the actual imagery on the original white cardstock. So I took it all off, just with that little white, the alcohol white. But I did have some alcohol in a bottle there, and so I poured some onto my surface and I dipped, oh yeah, StazOn. You can use your StazOn cleaner too, either one, or the liquid alcohol clear. Just put it off to the side, and you can use a Q-tip or a paper towel and take the imagery off of your acetate. Easy, crazy peasy. It's so nice. That cloud down there, I tried it on the paper before I put it onto the acetate. But you know how ink comes off so easily, your StazOn inks. And I did mention that the black is StazOn ink, right? You have to use StazOn ink when you're working with acetate, so it stays on there. Yes, so here's where we're going to be building, and then you're going to tuck that acetate behind the top page, just the top page, yes. And that way it seats down nicely because you have that extra gusset when you were scoring it. So you're just going to score it with 2 lines. Now, I started over down here with the StazOn cleaner. You could either or with the alcohol wipe, whatever, to take it out. I wanted to, it was too tree looking. Instead of bushes, it was looking like too many evergreens down there. So I just wiped it clean, took my StazOn ink and created like a little bush in there. And I think it looks just so natural to be in there, and you're going to have so much fun. And if you want the trees to look like they're in the background, just lighten up. Do a stamp off, or else just press it nice and light when you're putting it down. And this Rubbernecker set has skinny trees, chubby trees, long trees, short trees. And that's just about it, my friends. Like, this is the scene for the top. You don't want to add too much, but that actual scene to the left needs some color, and that's where our alcohol inks are going to come into play. You're going to use your stash, be super happy how it brightens that page up. And here we go. I'm getting out some alcohol inks. I want to have some lime green, dark green, and some yellow and orange. I think I got out the orange and brown. Basically, we're going to take all of them out. No, I'm just kidding. And the brown. And I had to go get a few other colors there that I didn't have in this tin. But it all worked out, and then I got my dental picks, and that's what I'm going to color with. Remember, I've always showed you those picks that I use for coloring that I get at any pharmacy. You'll be able to get them. They come in a package of 100. I'm going to try to remember all this at the end so that you can see exactly what it is that I am using. So now we're going to get our dental picks and we're going to color. We're going to turn this image over. We stamped on the front of the acetate, now we're going to color on the back. And tell me that this isn't so crazy easy. Now, what colors you didn't like in the original stamping that you did dragging the dragging the hybrid inks across, you can brighten them up with your alcohol inks. And this moose is so crazy cute with his legs turned out and as friendly looking as can be. Now, if you've seen a moose up close, they're not that friendly looking, especially when you're moose hunting, and they're gargantuous when they're coming at you. Let me tell you, they are. There's something, oh my, yeah, they're huge, but he's cute. Yes, there's nothing scary about this little moose. I do think that the illustrator just really came across perfectly. And we're going to add the light green, we're going to add some turquoise, and keep putting it over onto the actual set here. That's what I'm doing to see how it looks. Now, if that turquoise was a bit dark, so I did have to take some out with the alcohol wipe, but you can do it later because you're working on the inside of your stamped image. You stamped with the StazOn on the outside of your acetate, you turned your acetate over, now you're coloring on the inside. So really, that's easy peasy, there's no mistakes. And then you want to, if you want to brighten up your water, if your water wasn't bright on the original scene, this was way too dark. But the beauty of this is an alcohol wipe or StazOn remover, and you can take it off with the same dental pick. And yeah, I'm going to slow it down later. This was just for time to show you how the coloring went kind of quickly. And now I'm just taking some out with that little wipe. And actually it gave me some mauve, which I really liked when I was going across it with the alcohol wipe. I don't know what that was all about, but I did love it. And yeah, and then I got to add some, just a hint of bright yellow on the top with some orange to brighten up that sky behind there. And you're really just adding and taking away, adding, taking away on the acetate. And I think it is so cute. You can ground your little beaver on there with some alcohol ink. And I love coloring with alcohol ink. It's so smooth. It's dreamy, actually. And then you can darken up, you know, your mid-tones with the alcohol ink once it's dried, and really it does dry instantly. There's a little bunny hiding. I didn't want to make him stand out too much. I did want him to be in the background, just kind of peeking out, you know, checking out what's going on in the beautiful northern wilderness here. And it's, you know, as Bob Ross used to say, it is your creation, and you just tell your own story with how you're creating it. This is your story, you know, it's your story about the little beaver coming out, checking the pond, making sure nobody touched his little crazy house that he has stopping up the water. And yeah. Stories. That's how you think when you create like this. Then you can take your StazOn ink, and you can see I think I stamped it 3 times just to get one tree with some light to darks. So wonderful. And I love that white misty look going across there, and that's just from dragging your white ink. Easy peasy. I mean, this, you cannot get anything easier to create than this. I'm telling you, it was wonderful. I really did enjoy myself. Now I put the yellow on and I put the orange on, but I found it too dark when I put it over. So I went back and I just took my alcohol wipe and I went over it, and look at that. You're creating from the creation you created at the beginning. This 2-step creation is your creation. And then to the left, I wanted to add this kind of waterfall look with the orange. So coming down from the trees onto the rocks. You'll probably see that in the pictures. Everything I did on the acetate was just adding to the scene that I had on the inside. And once again, I'm dragging the white ink across. I wanted some more white sitting on top of for movement on the bottom portion of this stamp of water. You can see how I just keep looking at it when I add the acetate over top. Now I have done some cards like this before. I'm going to try and look for them and put them at the end of my tutorial for you to see that I have done different creations using a building layer that you built yourself just by adding acetate. It's so much fun. And then I took out my Xyron big grandpappy to put some glue on the back of my layers. This is nice and quick so that I can put it down onto the white cardstock and easy peasy building the scene onto my white card base using the Xyron. And this is the 9-inch going across, and I love it. So I couldn't use I think it's the 5-inch or the 6-inch. I was just a tad, and I didn't want to squish it through that one. So I used the Grandpappy Xyron, and I totally love it. Just makes it quick for me to create a card and to show you and to inspire you. How are you doing with the heat, by the way, here in Niagara? Oh my, it's been hitting over 100 degrees. We had that great big thunderstorm last night. I always get up, like it was at 2:30, I grabbed my camcorder and I actually opened my front door onto my porch and I go out and film the lightning. Isn't that crazy? I'm like one of these, the tornado chasers. I love thunder and lightning. I really do. Isn't that crazy? I love that banging and the power that is in a storm. As long as it doesn't knock any of our trees down and, kills me in the process. But yeah, I was out there just, loving that storm. That was a beaut. But like I say, it was just thunder and lightning. It's not, a tornado. You don't get tornadoes and hurricanes and things of that nature in the Niagara area here. So I'm glad for that. And there's my gusset, my small little gusset on the white cardstock. We're going to take all of this off and place it down. So you have your black cardstock and your silver, and then the scene we built, and then the acetate behind the scene with our little gusset that we put in when we scored it. Now we're going to put double-sided tape on the acetate, and you can see that it's a 1/2 inch because I used 2/4 inch double-sided tape strips from the roll. And I mean, can you get any easier? You could build so many different scenes by putting the background scene on a cardstock and then build it on your acetate with your stamps of another stamp set so that you get to use up your stash. That's the key for me, is to use up my stash. And I'm starting to do that. Here we go. I'm just going to take my Teflon bone folder and squish that down so it doesn't come up, and it won't. This is really, Suquang tape is really good double-sided tape. And you can see how we created the background on this with our alcohol inks. I'm just going to take the double-sided tape off. Then we'll build, and what's really fabulous on this too, if you don't think the scene is right, you lift up the acetate. We're only gluing it down on the top, right, my friends? Only on the top. So we can lift it up and create all we want on the inside of this. We aren't, we're just not committed because it flips up. We're not committed to that one scene that we did build. So here we go. Now, another thing I wanted to show you is it was a bit crooked here. You can see I have issues with things being crooked. I don't know what it is. And that's why I buy those stickers, that I have. And it has strips. I love them, the black strips. So I end up, it was the silver that bothered me the most in the top and the bottom. I don't know what happened, if my hand slipped or what it was, but I was a little off. But those sticker strips save me because you can put them on a slant and that straightens up your cardstock, and you don't have to worry that you've got it, securely down onto your page here. We're going to put this on, and once I get it all together, I will show you how I was off just a little bit and how I straightened it up with the stickers. And I didn't on this one. Generally, I tell you to put glue, liquid glue, on the back of your stickers, but because these were so crazy thin, I mean, they were just such thin stickers that I had to trust it going on the silver paper, which is really a different texture, so it did hold it on. I was flicking it and trying to get it to move, and it didn't. And remember that you don't want hand marks on this, so I'm just taking a paper towel and going over it. That's the beauty of it. And I'm taking another little alcohol wipe because I noticed on the outside I had gotten a little bit of glue on there from the double-sided tape, so that's as easy peasy as it is to take it off. And I am thrilled with the scene. It is just a beautiful sunset in the north. You know, it reminds me of up in Thunder Bay where we used to live, and the beautiful lakes that we called them secret lakes because we take the boys fishing and nobody knew where they were. They were just secret lakes, you know. And look at those clouds up there. Oh, I'm telling you, I was so glad I got to have time, that I had the time. I didn't got the time. I had the time to go and check out Stampscapes. And I just love Rubbernecker Stamps. So I'll leave the links to both places for you to check it out. And look at that. Isn't it cute? And the animals just pop off the page. Just pop off your card. I think this would be wonderful to make a baby scene for a baby card and have all kinds of toys on the acetate that are bright and cheery. And then you have the background, you know, with a buggy and a scene of going down a path with your pram. And then you have all these little toys falling out of the pram. It's just so many things run through my head. There's my stickers, the star form stickers. You can see how thin these strips are, but I did have to straighten out that silver and black. It was just a tad crooked. And I keep the inside guts to my stickers. See all of these round things? I use them as eyes when I'm creating like cartoon style stamps. I go back and use the inside, basically the guts out of the beautiful imagery. And this is a wedding star form stickers that I used a wreath, the white wreath for the inside of the card. It looked really nice, and I'm going to put my sentiment inside the wreath. Really has nothing to do with the northern scene, but it did really, I liked it. I liked the look because it brought the white out of the water onto the inside. Now here's where I straighten up my crooked piece of paper, just with a star form strip. That's it. Get it right on the corner edge. They're really nice and sticky if you don't handle them too much with your fingers. And then get, I used my pokey tool there. No, I'm sorry, not my pokey tool, the one with the round ball on it, the stylus. And I kind of press down on it. You don't want to use a pokey tool because you'll add little poke marks. That's why it's a pokey tool. So you want to use a stylus and press down on your strip and it will stay there. It has so far. I checked it just a little bit ago, and I finished the card a couple of days ago and it is still on there securely. So here's how I straightened out the top portion, and then I had the side portions to these star form stickers, just the side, from the taking out an oval strip. And so I put them down the sides on the white, and I loved it because it had silver. There you go. See how I straightened that out? Just with a black little strip of a star form sticker. That was it. I really loved staring at this. That's probably why it takes me so long to get a tutorial up. I'm so busy looking at it. Not really. But I did. And see how if you put a gusset at the top of your acetate, it will seat right down without any problem. It doesn't raise up because you put that extra fold in there when you were scoring into it. So that's awesome. And then I put a strip on the bottom to match. So you had a little star form strip at the top, one on the bottom. And then I'm going to grab the white and silver outside pieces to some strips I already took off and used. And I tell you what, I use these star form strips. there. I'm just showing you how it had that glue down there. It had that glue. I couldn't get it off. So instead of making a mess with a pokey tool, you know, trying to get the glue off, that's why the strip went on the bottom. I just covered it. And these are the things that I think of when I'm looking at it. Just put something over top. That's it. Just cover it up. And nobody's the wiser when you give the card away, right? And I love the way my light, one of my lamps, or excuse me, my light, camera lights, shines down on the clouds there. Yeah, didn't, you know, that wasn't meant to be, but I really did like the look of how it just made the clouds in the background stand out. Yes, I don't know. I think you have to be satisfied with your work, right? And get excited over what you're creating because it's your creation. I mean, that's exciting to me. And we're basically just coming down to the end. Here's the outer edges of a sticker that I used. It was the outer scallop without the inner. It was just the outer. And I used it just to, I don't know, just to add something to the two sides. And I really liked it. It brought the white out in the water ripples. And I like that, you know. I just had a lot of fun with this. And I so enjoy you stopping by and checking out my videos. I really do. It's just a pleasure to meet new people. And those that have been following me for some time, I appreciate you too. I don't know if I tell you enough, but I really do. And I appreciate you subscribing and giving me likes and thumbs up and all that good stuff. So here I put the points facing into the image and see how it just pops it? That's all it took to make that image pop out, was one of these star form stickers. And I did lift it up and add a little bit of glue under there after the tutorial. So just letting you know that. So here you have it going in fast motion. I'm just going to show you how I did lift it up, put a tad bit of glue under there because it is really sticky. And I find that if you use the ultra thin strips, you're okay with it to keep it on there, especially if you're using metallic paper. It seems to stay on there, but I don't trust it on the plain 140-pound cardstock. So I did lift it up. And you can see the stylus, how I went down across there. That way it didn't leave any scrapes or scars onto the sticker. And then I'm going to show you, I needed to take out some of the yellow and orange. It didn't look very realistic because I had too much of it. It didn't blend down into the bottom portion where it was calming colors. It was, see how with the acetate lifted up and then you put the acetate down, but I did want it to have some extra color in certain spots. I wanted the rocks to have some peaks of orange on top of the rock with some brown. So I did go back and do that because I didn't want the rocks on each side of the water to just be left out. See how I put some brown? And that's what I'm saying about the double flap with the acetate. You're creating your own imagery and colors. Again, if you weren't satisfied with the one page that you created with Stampscapes and you didn't get the right hues or colors or deepen or lighten, darken, whatever, you can go back with your alcohol ink on the acetate that flips over top and you'll love it. You're gonna love it. And here's the inside. Talk about easy peasy. I put a black piece of cardstock. You're not going to see that very often because you know I love to create at least two sides of a card, if not all four. But I didn't. I did this. I put that white wreath in there, and then I'm going to put the sentiment inside the wreath. So let's just stare at it here. Here is the inside imagery with the Stampscapes, and the outside imagery is with the Rubbernecker stamps. And I just loved it. So here I'm going to show you the stamps I did use. This is the Rubbernecker. Look how it has the cabin, and there it is there. Look at the moose. Beautiful. And here's the Stampscape. I have all of my Stampscapes in that Ziploc thick bag that I keep. If you want extra trees, you can use this one. I didn't have to because I pulled from the Rubbernecker trees. But look at all the trees you get just in these 3 sets. Beautiful sets. I love using the Stampscapes. So I will get that over to you at the end of the tutorial. I want to thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to put down my stamp that I have. I found this when I was cleaning up, so I thought, why not? It says created especially for you by Carol Held, and put some glue on it, and then I got some ink off my finger on it, so I tried to get it off with my medical pick, and I couldn't do it, so I put a sticker over top. Yeah. Yeah, right there. Grab your stickers and put a little flower, white on white. You're never going to know. It just takes away the black there. And then I thought, what am I going to do on the inside? I do not want to create another scene. It will take away from the front of the card. So I thought, you know what? Get those stickers out, and then I'm going to put the sentiment on going through the wreath. Yeah, it'll all make sense once I get it done. I'll show you in another video. So have yourself a blessed week, as I always say, and I mean it. I just hope the weather is being good to you in the areas that you live, and thank you for taking the time to stop by and view my work. I appreciate that so very much. And yes, I hope you're feeling much better, Carolyn, after your surgery. I've been praying for you. So take care, everybody, and I will see you on the next tutorial. Enjoy the pictures.